Dear friends, first of all, I'd like to welcome you all today. Lots of you have logged in on time, little ahead of time, which is wonderful. And today we are going to start with the first session in the Spiritual Quest series. And as I mentioned earlier a few moments ago, that I see 2022 and the years ahead as a period of great spiritual opportunity. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. Let us start by recognizing the two key dimensions of our lives. The first one being the material dimension, which we all know about, and the second one being the spiritual dimension, which is an ever-present mystical mystery for all of us, but yet it's ever-present with us. And it's that mystery, it's that getting to know it, it's working towards it that we're going to address now. Now, every moment of our existence in this world embodies these two dimensions. We have the material consciousness or material self, which participates in and experiences every material event, which is comprised of three parts: the past, the present, and the future, and all of which are governed by time. Now, the spiritual consciousness, which we call the higher self, is where our life energy and spiritual intelligence resides, which provides life and the motive force to our material self. And the spiritual self or higher self has no past or future. It exists purely in the present, unrelated to time or any of the material phenomena we know. And the higher self, on the other, is beyond time, which makes it ever living and eternal. Therefore, it's essential to live consciously with both our material and spiritual self. They are like our right limb and our left limb. And if we ignore or forsake either of them, we will limp through life because we will only be with one limb. So our goal, therefore, is to perfect and balance both our key limbs in order to experience life as fully as possible, the spiritual and the material, bringing them together. Now, to begin with, let us refresh our memories on the cycle of life that I have shared with you many times before, which says, the origin is light. Light brings life. Life brings experience. Experience brings knowledge, and knowledge is light. So, what do I mean by that? The origin is light, which means we all come from the light. We all are the light. And therefore, this light gives us life. So light brings life. And because we are alive, we go out every day, we live our day, we meet people, we experience events. So life brings experience. And as we reflect upon our experiences and learn from our experiences, that experience becomes knowledge. And knowledge is light, and that is the full cycle of life. We're here in this world to gain knowledge and gain light. And therefore, to derive the most from every moment of our journey in this world, we have to focus on that conscious balance between the material and the spiritual consciousness. Have them run in parallel. And as I said before, we cannot afford to forsake one for the other. Now, in the life of Buddha, this was a very interesting experience, because when he was young, he decided he was going to give up his palace and go into the forest and find enlightenment. And so he went, and a bunch of young people followed him, and they wandered for years and never found the light. And one day, many years later, in the forest, he goes to the lake and he looks at his reflection in the water, and it dawns on him that what I'm looking for is what is the truth behind that reflection. Yet I've left the world where I can discover that. And that water was representative of the world that he was in, and he didn't have that to be able to recognize his higher self. And so he goes back into the material world, and that's where he finds enlightenment. So the material plane is extremely important, and we cannot afford to be so engrossed in the material plane either that we ignore the higher self, which is the true power that drives our existence. Now, the higher self, or the spiritual consciousness or soul, or whatever we choose to call it, will be our key area of focus in this Masterclass series in the next number of classes. And we're going to explore the physical and spiritual signs that we can encounter all the time in our material world. But we often fail to recognize them. There are beacons, there are signs, there are things to look for which connect us, which show us also what stage we are at. And we're going to learn about stage by stage, what are they, so that we become more aware. What are these signs? How can we recognize them? What do they tell us? How do they impact our material and spiritual journey? These are questions we're going to address in this Masterclass series in some depth as we learn in greatest depth about each of the 10 stages. And these stages are deeply mystical, and yet they have identifiable roots in our material consciousness. So we're going to learn how to identify them and what to do with them and how to work with them. So coming back to why I foresee 2022 and the years ahead as being an era of great spiritual opportunity. When we look at recent human history, say over the past 60, 70 years, it is evident that the world has gone through a dramatic transformation. From the days of the Cold War through to the internet and now to the digital transformation era, all these advents have taken us up a spiraling pace of life. Each one of us is rushing at full speed, and time is shrinking for us all at a rapid rate. Days are flying by us. Therefore, today, time is at a serious premium, more than it has ever been before. And this is not a bad thing. Neither is it something to fear, as long as we can learn how to balance our lives and make the most of every second of that time, such that we can actually live consciously and productively in this ultra-fast-paced life. Remember, we did not get here by accident. The universe has been working with each one of us and through each one of us throughout this period of transformation to bring us to where we are today. And this has created both positive and negative developments. Now, scientifically, we have made immense progress. And at this rate, we will soon be able to significantly increase our human life expectancy. We will be able to communicate faster and faster each day. Technology will take us to a point where all we have to do is think, and everything happens. We will no longer need to sit at keyboards and type. We just think and it appears on our screen. We're already there technologically. So we're now able to pack in every second what took us minutes and hours and days before. This is important to note. A few hundred years ago, time flowed very slowly. People had less to do in every moment than compared to today. They still thought they were busy. I mean, just ask the secretary who banged away at the typewriter all day and repeated countless sheets of work when errors were found. She will tell you she was extremely busy. Today's reality is that the power of every second is 100-fold or 1,000-fold greater than our ancestors had. And this is where the spiritual opportunity begins to emerge before our eyes. Hundreds of years ago, people meditated for 4 to 6 to 8 hours each day to take a single step ahead in their spiritual journey. The flow of knowledge was at a snail's pace compared to today. So in terms of light and knowledge, every second today is filled with the light of knowledge. And that's what we have to learn to harness. Now, it's exceedingly difficult to do so in this very ever-consuming material environment, material consciousness that we live in. But for those of us who can tap into those light-filled moments, the rate of spiritual growth can be unlimited. And that's important. And that's what we need to find out how, learn the techniques, and work with them. Today, if we can meditate upon or even contemplate the higher self with full focus for only a few minutes, we will be able to achieve the same level of spiritual progress that took our ancestors days, months, and years to attain. Our goal, therefore, as a humanity, is to create a shift that enables us to live our material lives through the power of our spiritual potential. And this sums it up. A shift that enables us to live our material lives fully through the power of our spiritual potential. We have to build on our spiritual potential. And through this Masterclass series, we're going to learn the key stepping stones that can help us get there. Now, in 2020, we did 2 Masterclass sessions on the 10 stages of the soul, where we walked through stages 1 to 10 through the example of a metaphorical journey up a staircase to the door of light. And according to this, a recording of these 2 webinars can be found on our website, although they're not on YouTube. So let us start today by briefly encapsulating the journey of the soul from start to finish, from manifestation to the 10th stage, so that we can appreciate the ultimate goal from the very beginning. If you understand the goal, you can follow the path and try to get there. So let's dedicate today's class on the goal itself. We all start our journey. I give you an analogy. We all start our journey as souls like the rays of the sun. So the sun is our source, we are the rays. But we are not as bright as our source. Therefore, you can tell the ray apart from the sun. But as we gain knowledge, remember I went through the cycle of life. Life brings experience, experience brings knowledge, knowledge is light. As we gain knowledge, we gain light. We as a ray shine brighter and brighter and brighter until we reach a stage where you cannot tell the ray apart from its source. And hence, as we rise from stage to stage in our spiritual journey, we gain greater light. And at the final stage, which is the 10th stage, we become one with our source. We merge into the light of our Creator. And at this stage, you cannot tell the ray apart from its source. This is the final goal of every soul. And it is very similar to how a droplet seeks to reach its final abode, which is the ocean infinite. And once the droplet meets the ocean infinite, you can't tell the two apart. So in order to comprehend our spiritual journey more fully, let us take a few more moments to gain an appreciation of the ultimate goal of each soul, which, as I said earlier, is to reach the 10th stage and become one with the light of the Creator. So let's spend some time on that. Because if we can understand our goal with some clarity, we can derive the commitment, motivation, and strength to work towards climbing from stage to stage in our journey. And in this regard, the parable of light from the scriptures offers beautiful and very deep description of the light that we are seeking. And I have shared this parable with you before, but today we're going to go into it in more detail. This parable opens the door to mystical dimensions that traverse all the 10 stages of the soul. So let's focus on this parable for a while, far more detail than we have done before. I must point out that the parable of light does not necessarily have to be interpreted from a religious viewpoint alone. It can also be interpreted from a universal viewpoint or a scientific standpoint. For example, the word light is synonymous with life energy or life force. The word creator is synonymous with the higher self that resides within you, the central core of your spiritual being. The Creator need not necessarily be a super being out there. He can also be an integral part of the life that flows in every cell of your body. So this parable of light can be interpreted however you wish. If the religious perspective works for you, great. If the universal or scientific perspective works for you, great. So I'm putting it out for however you wish to interpret what I'm going to share with you. But what is most important is that we must capture the essence of what this parable is teaching us. Now, what is the parable of light? The parable of the light of the Creator is as if there is a niche, and in the niche, a lamp. The lamp is covered with glass. The glass shines like a brilliant star, lit by the oil of the sacred tree, the olive, neither of the east nor of the west. This oil is well nigh luminous, even though fire has scarcely touched it. Light upon light does the Creator guide unto His light those who He wills. So I'm going to repeat it one more time. The parable of the light of the Creator is as if there is a niche. In the niche, a lamp. A lamp that is covered with glass. The glass shines like a brilliant star, lit by the oil of the sacred tree, the olive, neither of the east nor of the west. This oil is well nigh luminous, even though fire has scarcely touched it. Light upon light does the Creator guide unto His light those who He wills. Okay, so now, this parable had a major impact on me when I heard it for the first time many, many years ago, but I didn't really know what it meant at the time. So I went out and I read all the explanations of all the spiritual teachers and all the different interpretations, but none of them really quenched my thirst. So, because, when I read about the different options, it would say, the parable of the light is as if there is a niche, and everyone talked about a niche being an alcove on the top of on the top of a building, and in the niche you place a lamp so that it fills the room with light, and the lamp that shines like the brilliant star illuminates everything. That it's lit by the oil of the olive tree, and they talk about why the olive tree is sacred. Neither of the east nor of the west, because this olive tree is neutral. And then the oil is luminous, and they say the olive oil is luminous, even though fire has scarcely touched it. So the focus was very much, everything I read was very much associated to the literal wording of the parable. And light upon light does the Creator guide unto His light those whom He chooses. It was the first time there that the notion of stage upon stage came across to me. But still, as a scientist, as a person of logic, I couldn't find enough in there to quench my thirst. So I started to reach the conclusion that the only way to find the answer was to find the answer from within. And I meditated on this parable for 18 years. And I would, every time I had some time, free time, or I would sit in meditation, I would always dedicate some time and I would think of this parable line by line. And I would ask from within to my higher self, give me an interpretation that I can understand. And then, 18 years later, one day when I was not thinking about it, I was shown an interpretation that made complete sense to my sense of logic as a scientist. And what I saw was that the parable of the light is as if there is a niche. Now I found that the niche is in the center of my forehead. If you feel the center of your forehead, there is a hollow. It is your alcove. And this is where my connection lies with my source. So this is where the spiritual umbilical cord starts for me. If you cut that cord, I am not alive. So my life energy flows to this niche, from my Creator. And in the niche, a lamp. And the lamp represented for me the light of my Creator. It also represented for me the light of knowledge that was emanating from me, from my being, from my soul. So that lamp shines like a brilliant star. Now the lamp is covered with glass. Glass is made of silica, which is an element of the earth. So that reinforced to me that I am searching for the light of my Creator in the right place through my physical form. Therefore, I am in the right place for this search. The earth is the best place for me to do it. The glass shines like a brilliant star. So as I grow in knowledge and I shine brighter and brighter, my soul will shine brighter and brighter like the brilliant star. The star represents my connection with the Most High because the star is very, very high. So it represents my connection with my Creator. That's the state of my Creator. Lit by the oil of the sacred tree, the olive, neither of the east nor of the west. And I realized as I was looking at this interpretation that the sacred tree was my circulation system. Our circulation system is the same shape as a tree. It's a tree of perfect balance. The slightest veinlet on one side always has its corresponding veinlet on the other. So the sacred tree, your circulation system, is the most balanced tree that exists, which is why it is neither of the east nor of the west. And what is the shape of my heart? An olive. So this oil is well nigh luminous, even though fire has scarcely touched it. So when you filter blood, you get plasma. Plasma is a luminous fluid. So the underlying message to me of the parable was that as long as my heart is beating, the plasma, the blood, the luminous fluid is flowing through me. As long as I am alive, I am able to gain knowledge. And with this knowledge, I'm able to gain light. And with this light, this connection of mine with my Creator goes brighter and brighter and brighter. And so, by the grace of my Creator, light upon light, I can be guided unto His light. And it says, light upon light does the Creator choose those whom He guides. And these stages of growth are stages of growth of knowledge of my soul. So light upon light, stage upon stage, there are 10 stages of light upon light, which we are going to learn about. So one cannot ascend the 10 stages of one's own will solely. It only happens by the grace of the Creator. This is why it says, light upon light does the Creator guide to His light those whom He chooses. Now this is very important because this is a fundamental statement of humility, that you cannot just rise because you want to. It has to be a grace. So it is a process of very deep humility. Now, when we did the first masterclass on the 10 stages of the soul in 2020, I promised to share with you an expanded version and meaning of this parable of light. So let us today, now that I've shown you what I gained in terms of recognizing its meaning, let us now expand each and every word of this parable and recognize how they tell us far more than is obvious at surface. The parable of the light is as if there is a niche. So what is a niche? As I said earlier, for me, it represented the center of my forehead, which is where my connection with my Creator lies, my spiritual umbilical cord. But what are the characteristics of a niche? A niche is an alcove. It's a type of enclave. An enclave or an alcove that is totally secure, strong, and protected. So even the reason they put lights in homes in niches was because at that point the lamplit was in a very solid, protected, secure state. So the niche is my security that engages my physical body with my Creator. So remember, secure, strong, and protected. And the niche is usually placed at the highest point of the building, therefore it represents that which is the most high. Now this is a very powerful spiritual thought, that of the Most High, which represents the exalted state of our Creator. So that's what the niche points us towards. It's a beautiful thought to meditate upon, that of the Most High. In the niche, a lamp. What does a lamp signify? A lamp gives off light. A lamp houses the flame that emits the light. The flame in this parable is synonymous with the eternal flame of the Creator. A lamp is the beacon or focal point that can illuminate the darkest of spaces. It is the focal point for all those who seek enlightenment to focus their meditation upon. Even those sailing in the darkest of seas can find their destination through the lamp of the lighthouse, thus making the lamp a symbol of enlightened direction and guidance. So when we are guided stage upon stage by the grace of our Creator, the lamp ties in again with that same concept. A lamp has the power to dispel all darkness, representing the dimension of our source that is all powerful. So, simple use of the word lamp in this beautiful parable opens up so many dimensions of spiritual thought. I've just mentioned 8 of them here, but there's so much more. The lamp is covered with glass, which shines like a brilliant star. So, let's explore that. What are the attributes of glass? Glass is clear, representing ultimate clarity. Glass is completely transparent, representing the truth, the ultimate truth, because ultimate truth can only exist in pure transparency. Glass is totally impermeable. Therefore, one cannot reach the eternal flame of the Creator at one's own will. The glass is impermeable. It is only by the will and grace of the Creator. And this represents the fundamental humility that is required by those of us who search for the light. And absolute humility is also an attribute of our Creator. Glass that is clean and pure shines. It reflects light in all directions. And these rays of reflected light are indeed what we know as rays of inspiration. The rays of inspiration that illuminate and fertilize our intellect and our higher self. Glass enables vision, for you can see through it. This offers each one of us the spiritual vision of pure clarity that we can all aspire towards. Glass is made of silica, a symbol of the earth, which gives us a recognizable symbol in our material world that assures us that we are in the right place to search for enlightenment. So the simple word glass opened up at least 8 new dimensions of spiritual thought. And as I said earlier, there are so many more. It is important for us to note that the glass of the lamp and the source flame of the lamp are totally separate and distinct. This is very important to note. The glass of the lamp and the flame itself are separate and distinct. You mustn't confuse the two. They are individual and distinct features of the lamp. And I want you to remember this when we take a detailed look at the 7th stage of the 10 stages of the soul in the classes to follow. We will come back here to this point, the difference between the two. The glass shines like a brilliant star. The word brilliant describes the sheer power of the light of our source, our Creator, representing the aspects of the all-powerful and the omnipotent nature of our Creator, the all-powerful and the omnipotent nature. That's where what you draw from the glass shines like a brilliant star. That's what brilliant implies. And the word star has several spiritual attributes associated with it. A star exists high up in the universe, again exemplifying the words, the Most High, the exalted state of our Creator, the star, highest of the highest form. A star can be seen from wherever one looks. Therefore, the Creator can be discovered everywhere and in everything, wherever we look. The Creator is ever present. A star is a beacon of light, just like the lighthouse I just mentioned, providing absolute direction and guidance. People have used the stars to navigate their way around the earth for centuries. A star is a celestial body, which historically has been associated as being a heavenly body. Therefore, the word star invokes a sense of spiritual awe in us. The stars exist in the universe way beyond our earth. Hence, it indicates the infinite nature of our Creator. And remember the words, knowledge is light. So the shining glass of the lamp, like a brilliant star, is synonymous with the light of knowledge. As we gain knowledge through our life's journey, the brighter this lamp shines. Lit by the oil of the sacred tree, neither of the east nor of the west. Now we are going beyond the glass and towards the eternal flame itself. What are the symbolisms behind the words sacred tree? I mentioned earlier that the sacred tree, when I saw the interpretation, was my circulation system, which is perfectly balanced, through which the luminous fluid flows that carries my life energy, making it sacred. Now let us look at the choice of the word tree and explore its dimensions. A tree has roots deep in the ground. It is anchored to the ground. Its roots represent strength and stability. The roots of this tree represent strength and stability. A tree has a trunk and its branches that venture out upwards into the sky. Therefore, a tree is present in the dark, opaque soil underground and in the clear, bright sky above. Its existence is not restricted by either of these two physical phases, the soil, the dark, opaque underground, or the clear blue sky. Therefore, it is ever existent from this perspective, another important spiritual dimension of our Creator. A tree represents nourishment that flows through its trunk and branches and its flowers and its fruits. Therefore, a tree is a symbol of one that nourishes and provides for all, which is why the scriptures refer to the Creator as the provider of all. Comes from the notion of the tree. And the term sacred tree expresses the sacred dimension of everything associated with this tree. The parable refers to the olive, which is the shape of the heart in our physical body. Interestingly enough, it also has the oval shape of the earth. The olive is oval and it has the oval shape of the earth, where the physical heart lives and beats. Again, so the interpretation of the olive starts to expand. Neither of the east nor of the west. East and west are symbols of direction. When something is neither of the east nor of the west, it is free of all bias. This represents equilibrium, pure equilibrium, like the seesaw that is perfectly horizontal when it is in the middle, perfect balance. An absence of bias represents fairness, complete fairness and justice, which are both attributes of our Creator. When something is at equilibrium, it has unlimited potential to go in any direction. Take the example of a snowball at the peak of a mountain. When it stands still at the peak of the mountain, it is at equilibrium. But it has the power to roll down any side of the mountain that it chooses, with amazing potential that can cause avalanches on its way down. Here comes the omnipotent dimension of the Creator again. The word omnipotent refers to the limitless and unrestricted potential of everything. That's omnipotent. And just an example of the snowball, at equilibrium, but it is at an omnipotent stage because it can cause avalanches on the way down the mountain. So the simple words, such as the sacred tree, neither of the east nor of the west, tell us so much. These words of the scriptures have endless dimensions for those of us who seek. I'm sharing some of what I was inspired with to encourage you to contemplate deeply on every single word when you're sitting quietly on your own. When we meditate, this is exactly what happens. We contemplate the word we are focusing on, dig deep into its meaning, and then flow with it towards the destination we seek, which is the light, which is self-realization or merging with the ocean of light. And thus far, through these simple words, you can see how many of the 99 names and attributes of our Creator simply emerge. in simple words of the parable of light. So many attributes have emerged here as we dig deeper. If we contemplate the parable of light longer and deeper, we may find all the 99 names or attributes of the Creator embedded in its words in this one parable. So give it a try. Contemplate it further. I've thrown a bunch at you. Find your own. Dig. And it's such a rewarding and satisfying experience because that contemplation is part of spiritual growth. This oil is luminous, even though fire has scarcely touched it. Now, I explained to you the interpretation I received where if you filter blood, you get plasma, which is a luminous fluid. Let us think for a moment about what makes a fluid luminous. Normally, a fluid becomes luminous through introduction of an external light source. But here we're talking about light that emanates from the fluid itself. In the absence of any fire or combustion, any reaction. So this light emanates from the fluid itself in the absence of any fire or combustion reaction. Hence, the source of illumination of this fluid is the light of life, the light of life force, the light of our Creator. The scriptures offer further insight into this point. They relate that when God created Adam from clay, and I know there are many theories on the genesis of humanity, which we will discuss another time, but when God created the human being, Adam, from clay, He had to mold that clay into our form. Now you can only mold clay if water is present. Without water, the clay cannot be molded. So it was the clay and the water that were used to create our physical form. The scriptures say that the Creator breathed His light into this clay form. So this light, which is our life force, is present in the water portion of the clay. It is a light of a much, much higher dimension. It is higher than the highest of all, and that is why it is called the oil, because oil floats above water, making it the highest layer. It is above everything. This fluid is above everything. And since the Creator breathes His light into the water, this makes it the oil of light. It is a characteristic that allows water to carry life. Think about it. A seed is sitting under the ground for 500 years, lifeless. Then one droplet of water touches it and it springs to life. What is it that the water has that brings this to life? It is that light that was breathed into the form. Life is carried through water. Now the words, fire has scarcely touched it, also merits some further thought. The use of the word oil is indicative of a fuel in our material world. And we as humans know that when you burn a fuel like oil, you get light. But the light that comes from burning a fuel is of a very low nature. It is a light of a material nature. So the words fire has scarcely touched it show us the clear distinction between material light and the light of pure brilliance of our Creator, which is far beyond any light we know in our material world. So these words are words of distinction to help us think of light at a much higher plane. Light upon light does the Creator guide to His light those whom He chooses. Light upon light means stage upon stage, revealing it to us that the journey of the soul is one of rising from stage to stage, each stage being of greater illumination than the one before, each one being of greater knowledge than the one before. And these are the 10 stages we are going to cover in the Masterclass series. And finally, the words, does the Creator guide those whom He chooses to His light? Guide those whom He chooses to His light. Hence, it is only by the grace of the Creator that we can ascend from stage to stage. This makes us to realize that the spiritual journey itself is underpinned by a level of pure humility. Because we know that to rise higher is not our right. It cannot happen from our will alone. It requires us to submit fully to the process. and to surrender our will and ego to the Creator so that we may be guided towards our ultimate goal, which is oneness with the Creator. Remember earlier I said the glass of the lamp is impervious. None of us can go through it through our own will. But what each one of us can do is work hard towards ascending the 10 stages, to seek to be blessed with the achievement of this exalted goal. And the parable of the light tells us that living life in this material world is necessary for spiritual progress. We have that sacred tree in us. We have the niche. We have the lamp. We have the oil. All we need to do is our utmost to rise from stage to stage. And at this point, I'd like to share a short meditative technique that can help us begin to appreciate the luminous oil that resides within us and seek to make it shine brighter and brighter each day as we consciously work with it, with utmost humility and discipline. And our goal in our spiritual journey is to make this oil shine with the brilliance of our Creator, our Source. And this can be achieved by the way we live life, by the quality of our thoughts, by meditation and conscious remembrance and search for the Creator, and by the growth of our knowledge. And all this can help take us from stage to stage. Now, let's practice this very short meditation, but it really prepares us to illuminate and make that oil that resides within us, that luminous fluid, shine brighter and brighter. So close your eyes and breathe freely. Let all your tensions, worries, everything go and be at complete peace. Complete peace. And I'd like you to imagine that you're standing at the bottom of a small hill, and at the top of this hill is a small white dome-shaped building. This building is no larger than your bedroom, but it's nice, white, with a dome shape. And so you walk up the hill until you come close to the doorstep. The building is surrounded by flowers, gardens, trees, blue sky. You take a moment and look at this small building with a dome-shaped roof. And you are standing at its doorstep. And then you push open the door. And when you step in, the walls of this building are completely bare, white walls. The dome ceiling is pure white. And in front of you, you see a niche, an alcove in the wall. And in the wall, there is a lamp, just as described in the parable of light. And this lamp gives off a beautiful, brilliant light that does not dazzle you, but that fills your being with that beautiful, warm, loving light. And as you look at this lamp and you look at the light, and as it flows through you, you repeat the words, light, light, light. And take a few moments and just focus on the lamp and the light, and let it fill your being as you keep repeating the word light, light, light. Light, light, light. As you look at this beautiful lamp emanating bright, warm, loving light that fills every element of your being, you're filled with light, light, light. And then you bow with gratitude and take a few steps back and step out of the door of this beautiful white domed building. And once you're out, you close your eyes again and look at the glowing light within you as you repeat, light, light, light. As this light glows within you through every cell in your body, light, light, light. This is the light of the luminous fluid that begins to shine within you. This is the light that through meditation you can make grow and shine brighter and brighter. Look at its glow, look at its illumination within you, and take a few more moments and repeat, light, light, light. You can open your eyes when you're ready. This is a short and powerful technique you can practice as frequently as you wish. Now, how does this technique help us? Number one, it reminds us of the parable of light each time we practice it. Number two, it helps us remember and reaffirm our ultimate goal, which is to become one with the light. Thirdly, it helps us consciously seek to make the luminous oil in our being shine brighter and brighter. And fourthly, it enables us to make the parable of light a conscious part of our physical being. So the four advantages of practicing this short meditation, where you go into this dome-shaped building, white building, look at that niche, look at that lamp, take in the light, focus on the light, meditate on the light. When you come out, that luminous fluid is shining brighter, and even when you close your eyes, you can still see it. And you will know as it grows brighter and brighter, and each one of us will experience it differently. But so the advantages are that number one, it reminds us of the parable of light. So after today's class, we don't forget it. We are practicing a meditation that takes us to the parable of light. It helps us reaffirm our ultimate goal. What is the ultimate goal of our spiritual journey? Which is to become one with that light. It helps us consciously seek to make that luminous oil, that oil glow and shine brighter and brighter within us. And it enables us to make the parable of light a conscious part of our physical being. So I highly recommend you practice this meditation regularly. And this is an important first step towards enlightened living in the material world. Now we will keep coming back to the parable of light of the Creator repeatedly as we traverse each of the 10 stages of the soul. But this parable of light provides us with a great foundation for understanding our journey and its ultimate goal. Now in the next masterclass, we will start with the first of the 10 stages of the soul. And in the meantime, please practice this meditation we have learned, as it is a great preparation tool for what comes next. And also contemplate the parable of light and see how many of the other 99 names of and attributes of our Creator you can find. Dig deep into it, because this is the richest beacon that exists in the scriptures that helps us, guides us towards the ultimate goal, the destination we are all seeking, which I pray that you may all be blessed with to discover and that you may all flourish in the light of our Creator, and that you may make the parable of light something that lives in your conscious being. This is my prayer for you. Now we will start with the first stage in the next class. I believe that this period is of such great spiritual opportunity that I highly encourage you to encourage others to join, bring them on board, because this is a time for light to grow and spread in each one of us. And by inviting them and encouraging them is also part of your spiritual service. We are all working at this together. I'll do my part, you do yours. But please stay blessed, stay happy, and we will meet again at the next webinar very, very soon. Thank you all for being here, bringing your light, bringing your positive energy to us all today. And we are all basking in that positivity and light, and may it just stay with us and live in our souls. Stay blessed.